Good morning, one and all. I'm Ramya Devi, working as Assistant Professor in SNS College of Engineering. This is a continuation of the previous video in which we have seen the HTTP request. Here we are going to see the HTTP response. So this is the example of a HTTP response, which is the message sent back to your client. So here we have an host running a web browser and then a web server running the web server which contains the applications. So here a HTTP GET is sent from an host which is running on a web browser through the internet, and then the HTTP reply is sending back from the web server. So suppose the server to client HTTP response message is the following. So first HTTP 1.1 and then 200 OK. So this specifies this is an HTTP protocol and the version of the HTTP is 1.1 and the 200 is the success message which we got from the web server. So when it is 200, the message has been successfully generated from the web server and then sent back to the client. Okay, so the 200 status is indicated as the success message, and OK is the the message has been generated from the web server and then it is sent back to the web client. And then this is the date and timestamp from which the the message has been generated and sent back to the client. So and then from which server it has been sent. So from the Apache server it has been sent, and then it is last modified on Friday, that is 7th December, and then it has an E tag and content length and whether how much time the message should be alive in an internet, and if it is timeout after timeout means it will be sent back again to the client. Okay, and then whether the connection is alive or not, and whether the content type is image or HTML. And this is the structure of the response. So the first is the status line, and then status line indicates whether the message has been successfully generated from the server to the client, and then the header field, and then the blank line, and again the message body, which is optional. And this is an example of your status line. Here it specifies whether the HTTP 1.1 200 OK, and first is the HTTP version, and then next is the status code, and next is the text string. And so these are the status code: a numeric status code indicating the type of response, and a text string, the reason phrase, and then the 3-digit number. The first digit represents the general class of status code, the other 2 digits provide additional information. So this is the class, and then the standard use. So informational provides information to client before request processing has been completed. Success, request has been successfully processed. Redirection, client needs to use a different resource to fulfill request. And client error, client's request is not valid. Server error, an error occurred during server processing of a valid client request. And these are all the common status codes. So 200 means OK, the request process normally. 301, it is moved permanently. So the URI you are requested resource has been changed, and then the temporary redirect. 307 means the temporary redirect. So the URI which we are requesting has been temporarily changed to another URI. 401 is it is an unauthorized request, and 403 is a forbidden request, and 404 the URI which you are requesting is not found, and then 500 is the internal server error. The server software detected as an internal failure. And this is the structure of the response. So the status line, so the header field, the blank line, and then the message body. So here we are saying as a date. So we have seen in the first example as a date which has a timestamp. So the time at which the response was generated, used for cache control, and this field must be supplied by the server, and server information identifying the server software generating this response. And last modified, time at which the resource written by the request was last modified, can be used to determine whether the cached copy of a resource is valid or not. Expires, time after which the client should check whether the server before retrieving the returned resource from the client's cache. And then the E tag, a hash code will be generated of the resource returned. If the resource remains unchanged or subsequent request, then the E tag value will also remain unchanged, otherwise the E tag value will change. Accept ranges. Clients can request that only a portion of a resource be written by using the range header field. This might be used if the resource is, say, a large PDF file and only a single page is currently needed. Accept ranges specifies the units that may be used by the client in a range request, or none if range requests are not accepted by the server for this response. And then the location used in response with redirect status code to specify a new URI of the requested resources. Thank you.